Right here, 750 is a short on absorption, 750 at 64 bid, and then 7 and then 12 at 775. That's most likely what's going to happen. I'm going to clear the bid ask and pull the order as sellers pile in here. I'm going with momentum, even though there's a lack of it. The auction, it wasn't sticky today, it was just thick on the inside prints, which is good. So we're moving lower here. Buyers hit 750 and 775 before I cleared the bid ask, and they couldn't clear it. The timestamp is 221. I'm looking for 675. I pull the order, and price rallies, which is good because it was kind of a lousy entry. I'm short a ledge here at 250. Timestamp 825 on the buyers piling in. 97 on 850 on the bid, and then I scratch for break even 825 because it looks like there's still supply up there from buyers who are willing to hit higher prices. I re-enter through 310 timestamp when price down ticks, two ticks, and sellers pile in. There's 70 on the ask at eight even. Sell side. Now I'm watching the queue and waiting for it to pull on the bid. The bid queue is emptying as sellers push lower. There's less participation from buyers there, and I get out. I try to get out at 725, and then the queue stuffs, and I end up taking, I believe, um, no, okay, yeah. Price rallies all the way back to my entry. They hit it again, buyers at 8 even and 825, but they can't lift on a low volume, so buyers are exhausted here and sellers are still present, evident by the 38 traded at 775, and I get out for three ticks, a tick above my initial exit. I place a long order, timestamp 430, after I see 192 on the bid in an LVN. That's breakout volume as long as there's no iceberg. That's breakout volume as long as there's no back ticking. If there was back ticking, it would be absorption, and that's exactly what happens after the 192 trades at 850. The other four ticks pull, market maker ask side, and price rallies. So they saw the 192 on the bid at 850, and they pulled on their orders, and price shot across the LVN. Low volume node, I missed that trade. 875, I go short after I go short in the LVN after sell pressure, and I scratch when 60 is absorbed on the ask 850 timestamp 538. I scratch for one tick profit, because well the size was increasing, the tape wasn't moving as fast as I wanted to. Though I should have left the trade on. I could have held for another tick. I could have held for two, three more ticks, most likely two ticks. Um, had I just waited for the sell pressure. So that was an example of me being antsy. Flow appears to stabilize at 8 even after that. I flip long at the Schelling point here after it looks like sellers are exhausted, and the speed of tape is slowed down even though the inside prints have remained relatively the same. And I scratch for break even as buy size piles in at 825. There's a 115. There's a 115 on the bid time 825 timestamp 733. So I effectively see an absorption play showing up from the sell side against that buyer, even though price doesn't move lower, and that scares me out of my trade. So it was another case of scratching too early, I believe, and price rallies back into the LVN off of that. And then when I recognize 803 timestamp, I chase the long into the low volume node at a price of 850, After I realized it was breakout volume, and I close for one tick profit because tape stops. It was another example of scratching what looks like to be a profitable trade. Yeah, in the coming minutes, it rallies towards the end of the low volume node. Worst trade today is 1034 timestamp 875. It's the chase of this low volume node volume 65 traded on the ask. I'm effectively looking for, there wasn't any breakout volume, just exhaustion of buyers. I'm effectively looking for sellers to step in where buyers exhausted. Um, yeah, but the thing is, buyers exhausting doesn't connotate sellers pushing price across the LVN back to 8 even. And also 5 trades at 850. My entry for short is 875, and price is hitting the ask at 9 even. Buyers are. So there was just an absence of momentum here, and then I let the trade linger, and this was the only trade I should have scratched. Um, and then the Addis stop loss uh, prompt popped up, and I got out, but it took me like three convoluted orders because I pressed the wrong button, and I had to scratch a bunch and pay a ton in fees. 1050 is a short at the end of the full distribution. Timestamp 1259. There's a 185 traded 1075, and we're offside against that. 185 on the bid. We're offside against that hitting at 1050. That tells me that's not breakout volume. That's a good amount of buyers that are offside now, and they pile in again at 1050, 90 on the 90 on the bid, 45 on the bid as well. So there's a tremendous amount of breakout buy pressure that's going to be caught offside here, and it's probably going to move the entire ask lower. And then I go through this process of scratching and reassessing and scratching and reassessing because the offer lifts now up to 11 even off of buy pressure, but it's nowhere near the original size it was. 102 trades 1422, meaning there's still presence from buyers, and 137 1075, and they're being heavily absorbed by sellers here, and then sellers step in at 1075 with 114 traded after 189 and 172 on the bid at 11 and 1075 are traded. I'm chasing along here. I'm chasing a short here at 1050 and 1025. After all that volume is traded and price moves 4 ticks lower on half the volume from pressure from sellers, and there's so much pressure that buyers can't even fill the inside prints. I get short there, and then 107 trades on the ask 975, 2 ticks away from my profit. I mean 2 ticks away from my entry, and I'm watching to see if that's absorbed, but there's so much size up there. I didn't recognize that there was 400 contracts at buy volume there. There's so much size up there, it didn't make a difference. Then I got out for 5 ticks prematurely because price rallied all the way back down to where it stopped at the edge of the low volume node at 850. That's 2 ticks off the Schelling point. When I was taking that short, let me make sure I'm not muted. When I was taking that short and got caught offside bigly, big offside, and I knew I should have scratched because I was 1 tick away. It was 1 tick against me and building value and just sitting there, and there was no pressure from sellers. If we were sitting on the bid ask at my entry or below it, it would be different. But it just sat there for a long period of time and did nothing, so it was reversing. And buyer exhaustion doesn't connotate pressure from sellers; it just connotates buyer exhaustion. So price stopped all the way up from 10, 11, all the way up from 11 even off those buyers being absorbed down to 10, down to 850, which is where the other trade, the exhaustion from sellers came from. The exhaustion from buyers, my bad, and the lack of sell pressure that caught me offside, and then I butchered it with execution. I flip long here at 10 even on buy breakout volume at 1025, timestamp 1834. And then I believe I scratched prematurely. No, I recognize the opportunity, but they don't fill me. I had a bid at 10, and then price rallies 4 ticks.